Student loans, y'all. Student loans. What are your feelings about student loans? Are you someone who clicked on this video because you are a victim? Are you someone that clicked on this video because you got your wages garnished? Are you someone who clicked on this video because you want to see someone's perspective on student loans outside of your own? If you're that person, hello, you're in the right place, because this is Dear Creator with Danny Daniela. I am Danny Daniela, and this is my rejection therapy, exposure therapy experience. I'm coming on YouTube. I'm giving my thoughts and perspectives, and I'm highlighting our definitive belief systems, why we believe the things that we do. Quality questions. What are those quality questions that we can present to ourselves about our responses and reactions to all the things in life? And then lastly, how do we put a mirror to ourselves when we are responding to things like student loans? So there are a few things that inspired today's video. One, I'm a little embarrassed to say on YouTube, but I'm going to say it because you all are going to watch me grow. Okay, I once was a caterpillar, but I'm going to be a butterfly. I'm going to be someone who thought like a child, but then I put childish things away. All right, I'm going to grow, and I'm going to grow on YouTube, hoping that maybe someone will find benefit. But however, what inspired today's video, friends? Y'all, they got me. They got 15% of me.
Got him! Got him! Oh! Whoa! Whoa!
They got my money, and I did not know what was going on. I got my wages garnished because of student loans, and on my check, it just said garnishment. So I had no idea what the root of it was. And I said, garnishment. Like, I have been practicing being open to any debt that I have, having conversations with people, making sure I pay off my debt, and being aware of where everything is going. Student loans, they confuse me just a little bit because they're always moving one place or the other. But I called my student loan people last year. I put together an agreement, and I seen emails come through. It looks like everything was clear. My credit score, all of that was fine. I didn't have any dings. So why did I have garnishment on my paycheck? Garnishment, okay? So embarrassing, y'all, that I was not paying attention. But also, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know all of the things. And there's so many things to keep up with in life that it's surprising to me that other human beings are like, you should know this and you should know that. I'm just like, where's the book? Where do you have time to read it? Because you're surviving America. Anyway, y'all, I have grown because I remember a few years ago, I was having a conversation with someone about student loans. I was so passionate about student loans because I thought it was ridiculous how much interest was involved, how much I was paying back, and the fact that my degree wasn't degree. My degree is in family science, and I'm going to make it work, y'all. I am going to make it work here on YouTube. But I ended up getting into tech when I went to grad school. I got into information technology because then I thought, well, maybe I should be in another area. Boom, bam, bam. But when I was reviewing the concept of student loans years ago, I wrote a play about it because I thought it was a scam as well. I said, how is it that people are so young making these decisions and they do not have some type of class or understanding of what they're actually getting into, because our frontal lobes are still developing. We still are trying to figure out taxes. We're trying to figure out taking care of ourselves. We don't even learn principles on self-esteem and self-love. We're just thrown to the wolves and we have to survive. And for quite a long time, I adopted what I would call a victim mentality when it came to student loans. I also adopted a mentality like, I'm not going to pay these things until I can pay them. But When I got the garnishment, I did not expect the feeling that I felt eventually. So initially I said, what in the world? What in the world? And I'm going to tell y'all why it was what in the world. I did not have any idea. I didn't get anything in the mail, and I checked the mail every day, and I was looking at mail because I knew that I had to be on top of things. I didn't want things to happen because I learned from other financial decisions that you just need to make sure you have conversation with people. You need to make sure that you're staying on top and that you just have order, because that's going to make sure that things don't fall apart. So in my head, I'm thinking, how did I end up with a garnishment when I've already had these conversations with these people? I already told them, we already made a plan. I can see that the plan is in effect. So what are these defaulted loans? So as I did some research, I called, I looked on the websites, I went into my account details page, and I seen that out of all of the loans that I have, only a few of them, so it's not a chunk, a big chunk, but it's a chunk, okay? It's chunking, are in default. I still don't understand it, and I'm still investigating, but I'm wondering, one, was there any administrative issues? Because I had the conversation, I sent in my fax work, I did all the things. Or was it discombobulated because there are loans that are in one place and the other place, and I just don't understand their system? And so therefore there was one that slipped through the crack because I didn't have an understanding of it. I'm pretty sure that all these cases are casing, but I'm not upset. I'm not upset. I'm not going to keep it in garnishment. I already made my way through the next steps in order to make sure that I have control of the payment plan. But I'm not upset that I am paying my student loans back. And this is where I have become mature. This maturity mindset is closely related to my relationship and perspective of money. And I'm going to dig into this a little bit in a video. But on my journey of investigating and trying to figure out what in the world is going on, because I have not paid attention. I've just been making sure that I stay alive, keep everyone alive, make sure I take my joy to the top, okay? Make sure I figure out a master plan to continue my happiness, okay? So I have not known that things were happening in the government that I probably should have known about. But as I was investigating, I came across a video by a man named Orlando Minor. And he inspired me to do today's video, which is going to also be a reaction video of TikTokers talking about student loans. But when I reviewed his video, there were some quotes that came out that gave me a little bit of gut reaction. Okay, I was thinking like, dang, people are so judgmental. Boom, bam, okay? I felt all of the things. Now, I do think that he brought out really good points. But what I want this video to do is serve as a place where we all can at the very least, consider other people's perspective without having to lean into judging or criticizing them without solutions that they can really receive from you. What I mean by this is, whenever I'm reviewing someone's content or I'm consuming someone's content and they come off with like, you should have known this, or you stupid, or you did these things, I wonder what their ultimate goal is. Is their ultimate goal really to help people to consider what it is that they should do, or do they want people just to feel bad? I'm not saying Orlando did this, but he had quotes in his video that I'm going to share with you all that made me feel this way. When I say made me feel this way, this is going to be the intro of what I'm calling a growth framework. So the growth framework is a framework that I'm using with a lot of my different reviews that's going to allow us to go from thinking like a child and being mature. Because when I'm navigating the internet, I hear us talk about childhood trauma and all these things that our parents didn't do, or boom, bam, bam. And I thought, okay, maybe we do have childhood trauma. Maybe there are a lot of things that went wrong and we don't know all the answers. But it doesn't stop us from an option to grow. It might mean we have to parent ourselves. It might mean that we have to know that something happened that shouldn't have, but then move on. But those are choices that we would need to make in order to mature to whatever it is that we want to succeed. We could We could stay in a mindset of victim. We could stay in a mindset of everyone is out to get us. We could stay in those mindsets, but we also have an option to not let these things have power over us. Okay. And that's where I want to lean into this video. If I don't get through it, or you don't get through it to the end, that's ultimately what I want to do. And also share, like, what are some practical ways we can go from or consider going from a victim mentality to a victor mentality, even if there are predators. Okay. Now, I'm going to put Orlando on the screen because I'm going to walk through some of his video, and you can check out his video. I'll put his link in the description box below to check out his full video so you have full context of everything he said. What I'm using in this growth experiences, I'll go through it with you all as I go through the video, but it's an opportunity for us to go from like what our gut reaction is and what we actually want to harvest. And I'm using growth because I'm an ambassador for Garden. Garden is a indoor gardening system that you can use in order to grow all year long. And I'm going to put that QR code up on the screen really quickly if you're interested in $100 off. But in every video that I can, because I'm an ambassador for Garden, I want to continue to show you why I'm an ambassador. I'm an ambassador because I do believe in the beauty of planting seeds and what we can do when we plant seeds and harvest. Okay? Yo, this is going to be a long video. This is going to be a long video because I have so many things to say. So let's start off with Orlando Minor. I like Orlando. I like Orlando because I came across Orlando through another YouTuber who talks about scams on YouTube. And I like the perspective that they bring because it is something that we should consider, that people are out here scamming other people, that people are giving out bad information. And I think that it's helpful for us to know that there are scammers and that they exist. What I'm always interested in is someone just saying, okay, there's scammers, there's bad things, you might be making stupid decisions, but I'm also interested in someone who's able to balance that as best as they can. Now, since I'm still in the learning process, I am going to do my very best to show content that shows a balanced view without it leaning too far or too right or too left. Not even with the whole wing thing, but just in life. Like, people really think that their way is the only way, but there are other options for us to consider. All right, so I'm going to go through a few quotes from Orlando's video. And again, this is just something to use as a framework. It's not really about Orlando. It's about how I'm responding to Orlando's comments because I felt a certain way about it. But I want to take this video experience and I want to do something else with it. So here's some of the quotes that came out when I was looking at Orlando's video that I thought at least allows for further conversation and questions. So I want to go through a few of his quotes that sparked today's video. Let's take a look at this first one.
You thought that there was going to be the American dream, the white fence, all of this other stuff, tons of money coming in, but that isn't happening. I just want to know, what does that have to do with you paying back your student loans? I'll wait because you agreed to pay them back. So pay them back.
Pow.
I get what he's saying here. I get it. I also don't understand why we leave out the fact that there are so many barriers with how the system is structured. Think about the foundation of a system. The foundation of a system, if we build it on solid ground, if we had principles in play that really provided structure for those students who grew up in middle school and high school, where did they learn about how to file their taxes? Where did they learn exactly about college education and what to expect if their parents did not know? It appears as if we're just supposed to disregard the system just because we have to be accountable. Take a look at this other quote by Orlando.
There's just not enough jobs in the fields that people went to get their degrees in. Well, yeah. I mean, me and my friend Pocket Watching with JT, we've talked about this years in advance. We've been saying to individuals, why are you getting sociology degrees and these underwater basket weaving degrees. Why are you guys getting a degree in English and you're saying, I don't want to be a teacher? Huh? What? You're a history major and then you're saying, oh, don't try to make me become a teacher. A lot of you guys went to school, got the wrong degrees, knowing that they wouldn't make money. Knowing that everybody else knows that these degrees don't make money. And you're saying, I'm not making any money in that degree? Make it make sense to me. And then there's another group. That other group is they went to school for that degree, but they refuse to do the job of that degree. What? Make that make sense.
What the hell's going on over here?
All right, so this seems a little bit insensitive. It also makes me think that we are only supposed to work these jobs that give us the highest amount of income, and it doesn't matter if we like them or not. I understand why someone would choose a job to survive America, but when we think about life, wouldn't we want to choose a work that we actually enjoy? This is important because sometimes I'm going into the store and they don't like working there and they have an attitude. And it's like, if you don't like working here, go find something that you like to do. And their response might be, I don't want to do anything. And in that case, it's like, well, if you want to make money, if you want to survive this particular earth, you're going to have to do something. It might be something that you like. It might be something that you don't like. But here it's so tricky because the degrees are there. So it's like a game. You were supposed to know that even though they gave you this building and said you can come to this building and learn all these things, and you have all these options, that you were supposed to know that you're supposed to choose to be an accountant or to be a doctor or be a lawyer. Everyone was just supposed to go to those degrees. Consider this. If everybody was smart, like everyone thinks they should be, and they go to these smart careers, and everybody would be in the same career. There won't be any diversity of thought. There won't be any creative places for us to go or people with entrepreneurial mindsets. It's just everybody is a doctor, a lawyer, an accountant, because these make you the highest amount of income. These are the smartest things to do. I mean, of course, there's other jobs, but what I'm saying here is there are these great jobs that you can have that give you a lot of income, but are you fit for that job? Some people who are more on the creative side might not be my doctor, and I don't want them to be my doctor. I don't want them to be my judge. There are people who are designed to have those roles. So considering someone coming out of high school and saying, I can choose this degree, making fun of them because they chose that degree at the age that they did just seems insensitive. But I don't know. Is it a yay or nay for y'all? Is it a yay or nay? Because I don't get it. I'm one of those people that just don't get why. And I'm going to be doing that. Y'all want to hear that a lot on this page. I'm going to do that over and over again. I just don't get why we lean with that more than we lean with looking at different perspectives and understand the full story. So we're considering all these different careers that we can have and our personality and how we can positively contribute. We're going to choose the ones that makes the most sense to us, especially at this age, especially if we don't have the guidance and the only go-to was go to college. No one is thinking about how you can go to college in the most smartest way possible. Maybe it was to not go to college at all and to be an entrepreneur. But you don't have the tools and resources to do that because it's not taught how to do it. You just have to learn it and feel it out and just do your best. This is why those who make mistakes and try to do whatever it is that they want to do and then own that and grow in it are the people that others look up to, because they can use them as a guideline of reference. But it requires someone being willing to do something that others may not do, which might also be advocacy of, hey, this student loan thing is predatory. And instead of just leaning on the idea that, hey, life's not fair and everything is predatory, so just get with it, maybe we need someone to be a thought leader and to push through different concepts so that we don't end up in the predatorial space. Is that a word? Predatorial? I don't know. If it is, I'll put a green light on the screen. All right, let's take a look at this next quote from Orlando.
Imagine getting advice from someone who said,
You know what? Don't pay the student loan taxes. If they go ahead and take money out of your paycheck, guess what? Get paid underneath the table.
and you're on TikTok saying this. In 4K, you're saying this. You're saying, hey guys, yeah, do illegal things. And the IRS agent is like, excuse me, what, say that one more time. Okay, underneath the table. It's right on, it's on camera. It's wild. And these are the people that you're getting your advice from. Someone telling you to do illegal things, and then she puts it underneath the guise of, well, I mean, government, if you want to play games, we can play games too. Guys, listen, don't listen to her. You don't want to play games of going to jail with the government.
I love this. I actually love this. I do understand that there are a lot of scams on the internet, and we'll see this in a lot of content that Orlando shares with another creator who points out those are scams. However, or something to add to the conversation, is people do not know what they're doing in order to even recognize some of these things as scam. There are people who went to college, got a degree. They're so smart, but they don't even have emotional intelligence. They don't even know how to humble themselves and apologize in order to keep peace in their home. There are people who are intellectual, get these degrees, but they are acting like little toddlers. So it's not that having a degree or getting these degrees make these people wonderful people who just made great decisions. It could be these people who are thinking about, how can I learn the system in a way that can be beneficial? And what goes wrong is that there's so many rules in this system that they end up scamming. But they're scamming because they're trying to survive in some cases. I don't want anybody to scam. And this is what you'll see at the end of the video, because no matter how much predatory nature there is in a person, we are responsible for who we're going to be. And even if we didn't get all the rules, even if no one told us what we should and should not do, if we had the character and the wisdom of being a good person with a sound mind, we still could have operated and had guidance if we applied it and had that system in place. No matter what system is out to destroy us, there's a system in place that we could use, and I'll go over that system at the end, that could be beneficial to us. But anyway, I thought this quote, it does everything that he said has credibility to it. I just want people to receive what he's saying without them feeling attacked. I didn't feel attacked. I hope if you ever come across this video, Orlando, I didn't feel attacked. I actually think that you having content where people are learning how to buy houses or sell homes, I believe it is, it's helpful. And leaning into that content, it's helpful. Consuming content where you give people direction on what to do next instead of making fun of them, it's helpful. Because here's at the end of the day, he's using these people's content, like I'm using content today, in order to get views on his channel for him to have a stream of income. So these people had to say these things, and he had to respond in a way, and it just all just seems so odd, right? He's not the only person. I'm just using it for our example today, but this is what I see on the internet. And I am using people's content as well. But I hope that this spin that I'm doing my best to master will allow us to have balance and different perspectives instead of, hey, this is the way, and this is not the way. I could be wrong. It could be more beneficial for us to make fun of people in order for them to be successful. But I'm sharing this perspective just in case we want to see it a different way. Let's look at this next quote.
It will be, this year won't be accountability. 6 years from now, there won't be accountability. But at the end of the day, let me tell you what, you know who will care when you get to 6 years from now, and your credit's destroyed? You have to file bankruptcy, but the student loans are still on there. You can't get even a credit card or a secure credit card. It's hard for you to get financing on your cars, to take care of your family. All of those things, right? Do you know who will care that you're at financial destruction? No one. Only you. That's what I'm saying. Only you will care.
Y'all might as well call me juvenile because I'm about to have 400 degrees. I'm not paying those student loans back. I'll just go back to school. I signed those student loan papers when I was 18 years old. I was just going to college. There was no plan on paying that money back. You know why? Because that was predatory lending. You knew I ain't had no job. You knew I ain't had no way to pay that money back. You didn't even ask for a cosigner on these loans. And when you do your research on how we got to these federal loans, you'll realize it's just another cog in the racism wheel. Because college used to be free for everybody. It used to be federally funded, which means everybody was paying for college students to go to college. But when it was your granddaddy going to college, it was cool. But when it came time for people like me and my granddaddy to go to college, now we don't want to pay for college no more. Now it's, I do not want to pay for your college education.
What the hell is wrong with you?
Imagine saying that you're going to fight the student loan debt with getting more debt? I mean, that really is very American of you. I'm just saying. Listen, this is the foolishness that we're dealing with, guys. That you're not going to fight the student loan debt because it was predatory. Because, yes, you signed on the dotted line, but you were young and all of this history. And you're saying back 40 years ago, school was free and it should still be free today. That's the reason why I'm not paying my student loan. Man, the accountability is just non-existent. Listen, you signed on the dotted line unless you're ready to deal with the consequences, because you're not.
I wholeheartedly believe in accountability. I believe that we need to be accountable for what we do. In the same space, the people who are being predators would have to be accountable as well. And we don't put a lot of emphasis on them being accountable. It's just that the people who are the victims have to have the most accountability. But maybe I could be wrong. This last one from him is about generational. Well, let's look at this.
You decide not to pay back something that you agreed upon. The only person who is destroying, let me say that again, the only person who is destroying your generational net worth, your ability to give to your family, your ability to grow in wealth, your ability to have income, your ability to grow your income. The only person who's stopping that is you. Because you decided early on in your life that you were going to be a kamikaze fighter.
Okay, so that's a little background. This is what inspired today's video. What I'm going to go through next is just some other TikTokers who talked about the student loans and just different ways that we can move the conversation. So I like this particular TikTok. I'm going to play it. It's very similar and very close to Orlando's point of view, but there's something I want to share here. So let's take a look at this TikToker talk about student loans.
So let me get this straight. They made you go to college and then they made you take out a loan when you were 18 and didn't know what you were doing. So the amount of nonsense that I'm hearing on this app around the student loan repayment is crazy. And all it boils down to is lack of accountability. My daughter went to college. She went to Clark Atlanta. We didn't qualify for financial aid. And she would call me and say, Mom, my friends are getting credit cards and they're taking out loans. And I told her, because she was only 18, and you know when you're 18, you don't know anything. That's what you guys are trying to say. And I told her, as her parent, don't you dare take a credit card and don't you dare take out a loan. And let me tell you why. And we had a whole little conversation about loan repayment and FICO scores. So I don't want to hear that when you were 18, someone forced you to go to college and then made you take out a loan, because a lot of y'all are hundreds of $1,000s in debt, not from a 4-year college stint. It's because you went back to college as an adult when you had, when you knew what you were doing, because apparently when you were 18, no one told you what a loan was, even though you signed for it. Stop. Take accountability. No one cares that you have bills to pay and all these things. If you had a mortgage right now, you couldn't say, I'm not paying it. And then I heard people saying, well, a mortgage and an auto loan is not the same. I do agree that those student loans were predatory, 100%. They were at the campuses throwing Amex cards at these kids. But that doesn't give you an excuse for not paying your bills and not paying your loan back. Loans are not free money. Who did you think was going to pay it in the event you couldn't? Like, I don't understand why there's so much discourse around these loan repayments. You took out the loan and you have to pay it back. And short of all of the little workarounds that you guys are saying, oh, I'm just going to have my job pay me in a check and not direct deposit. Figure it all out, because all I'm saying is when you're looking around for workarounds to not pay your debt, that's speaking to your character. And I'm sure you guys don't care. But the lack of accountability that I talk about on this app is wild. And there is one group of people that are the ones making excuses. I didn't know what I was doing. I was only 18. They tell us that we have to go to college. Who's they? I don't understand. You were 18 and you didn't have a parent that you could ask for, like, hey, mom, hey, dad. So you were just away in college, just taking money and thinking that it was free. Pay back your debt, learn a lesson, and maybe teach your kids not to sign contracts that require you to pay back something. No one's coming to your rescue. The excuses, and especially from now, you're adults now, it sounds pretty lame that you're screaming on TikTok about having to pay back a loan you agreed to pay back. Again, loans are not free money. The fact that you were 18 and you didn't know what you were doing is lame, because you had parents. I would imagine there was some adult in your life that you could have asked for counsel around what a loan is. And then y'all went out and took out another one because a whole group of women, my color, want to take out MBAs. They want to talk about how they have an MBA. So you took out another loan. So you got loans and you got degrees in marketing. Were you going to work in marketing? You have like degrees in criminal justice. That was the hot one back in the day. Do you work in criminal justice? So now, because you don't work in the field that you got a degree in, not only are you mad because you don't work in that field, because you only picked that field because that was the hot trending thing, now you're mad because you got to pay the money back. My daughter wanted to be a forensic scientist because of the whole OJ thing and the glove don't fit. She was fascinated by it. And she's like, Mom, I'm going to go to college and be a forensic scientist. I'm like, okay, you go get me the newspaper on Sunday, because that's where the help wanted section was. And you show me all the jobs that are forensic scientists. She got the paper, not one single job. I'm like, pick a different major. Pick a major that you can use in any environment. She took a major in communications. And she's now in real estate, senior level of a survey company, and she uses her communications. So yeah, you were 18. Nobody cares. You're not 18 now. Be responsible and don't teach your children to think that loans are free money. Be an example for once and for all. Let me know down in the comments. Does this resonate with anyone, or am I talking crazy? Like, am I like out of my mind thinking that someone would have to be responsible for a contract that they signed? Or should I feel compassion and empathy because you were only 18 and someone not only made you go to college, but made you take out a loan? Make it make sense.
Okay, so what is your gut reaction? So now we're moving into the growth framework, GROWTH. This is our practicing. This is us practicing going from thinking like a child to putting away childish things. Now, initially, my reaction is very similar to Orlando's reaction, is because we see someone who's bringing this conversation to a platform and bringing it to the platform to tell another group that they're lame and that they don't want to have empathy for them. And although it may seem like I'm going to be like, oh, that's so crazy, I do understand the rhetoric here. I do understand what's being shared here. It's something that you would have to receive in the dynamic of a mother and a child. But what's so beautiful here, and this is what I see that's beautiful here, is she's a mother who gave her child guidance. She also mentioned that her child at 18 thought like a child. So without her mother's guidance, she could be these same people who ended up feeling like they were a victim to the student loans. What we hear in her rhetoric is that people were misguided, and the people that were misguided feel like they were taken advantage of. And is that fair? When we lean into the discussion of should I feel compassion or empathy, we will battle this really thin line of making it a crybaby scene where everybody's whining and crying about how the world is out to get them. And you might want to baby everyone. I get that. But can both of those live in the same space? Can we admit that there's something wrong here? And that it's possible that someone could have been in a situation without guidance, and that's why they're there. But all they really need is some type of instruction on how to do it well. Especially when we take the time out to come online to make people feel even worse than those bills already make them feel. If you feel that passionate to tell them how lame they are, then put a platform together and consider that these people became that lame because they didn't have that guidance. Now, there could be a lot of people who just got all the information that they needed. They were told when they were in elementary and middle school and high school that this is what you should expect. And then they heard that information and they decided to just be lame, go out and make all these childish decisions. It could be a group of people that absolutely acted in that way. But there also could be a group of people who just didn't know. And what are we supposed to do what we didn't know? We can do something with it. We can become victors. I know it's so cheesy and lame, let's use the word lame. But we can become those people who learn from their mistakes instead of cry forever. Because once I got my garnishment, I didn't cry. I didn't even feel anything, really. I felt like, okay, it's time. It's time to be intentional. It's time to put a little bit more power in this conversation because it's just money. We have allowed money to rule us to the point where we feel like we're victims and like, oh, they got all the money and we can't do anything about our lives. No, the way that we look at money can put us in a reality where it's not having this power over us. We want to become lenders and not the borrowers. In order to become that, we have to establish a relationship with money that doesn't make us fall down and roll over and feel like we can't do anything about it. Now, here are some things that I want to highlight that she mentions in this video that are helpful. That no matter how much I may want this, there is not a person that's going to fall from the sky and say, hey, I'm going to pay all your student loan debts. I want that to happen. And potentially, if I put everything I needed to put together, it could happen. But the likelihood of that happening won't happen. So that requires me to be creative in how I want to tackle this debt. It's not going to be tackled by me complaining about it for years and years. It's not going to be tackled by me just rolling over and saying, hey, just be a predator. I want to be someone who can say, I owe no one nothing but love. And I can use that by being of good character. This is another thing that she mentions in the video. She talks about character. She says this is about your character and not being accountable. Accountability is going to come up through a lot of these conversations about student loan debt. It is important for us to be accountable. But what the key word here is character. When we think about all the different student loans that we took out and why we took those out, some of us took it out because our degrees really required it. In some cases, we took it out because we needed money in order to survive on campus, or we wanted to use that money to have money and be free and have this college life. But when we decided to take the money, we at the very least knew that it was not free, that we were going to owe the money back. And so when you take out something and you agree to it, no matter if you didn't understand it, the concept of if I'm a man or woman of character, that means that I said I was going to pay it, so I should pay it. Now, people will use that argument when they're making fun of the people who are whining about student debt versus those who paid their student debt and they had all the guidance and they were just completely just on board with how to live life perfectly. I understand their side too, because that is of good character. It is of good character to even be in a position to be a parent to guide your child through these type of situations. However, how did we all get this way where we had parents that didn't say anything to us? Did we all have parents that were just like, whatever, just fall into debt, you'll be okay? How did they get there? What was their mindset like when they were a child? What education did they have about guiding their children through the college life and the loans? Did they have debt that they didn't understand? Just some things to consider. Okay, here is something else that she says. And I love this. I love this. Let's highlight this. You are adults now. Boom. We are adults now. We're adults now, y'all. We are adults now. But what's so interesting is that a lot of us are adults in adults' bodies. We are an adult with an adult body, but we never fully developed from that child. That childlike thinking, that child understanding of how the world works. We are still operating like a child. Now, my challenge to us all is, how do we get to that mature mindset? How do we get to that mature mindset, even with all the odds against us, with systems set up against us? How do we still overcome the predator? Well, if you would sit me in a room and you would present that question to me and say, what's your answer? I would say the wisdom and the Bible. And that's why, y'all, I don't feel no type of way about the garnishment. I don't feel like, oh my God, I'm so sad. I feel like I am maturing, so I know what to do next. When there's a situation like this, no matter where it's coming from or how it's coming from, I know to use my communication skills. I know to make sure that I have quality questions. Maybe there was an administrative error that I would have to investigate. If I had everything in order, if I was counting the cost, if I knew all of these things, then I would be in a position to say, hey, no, this should not be in default because I already made an agreement with you all about all of these student loans, but these were kept out for some reason. Let's talk about that. And even if that didn't get me anywhere, and I know that I'm supposed to pay back this debt, I'm not discouraged by the idea of the money, because money is a tool. It is not a God. It is not going to crush us. It's what we do with money. It's how we respond to money. So we are adults now. We still have to figure out how to be adults. And so we will still look like children. And I think she mentioned screaming on TikTok, that people are screaming on TikTok about it. And listen, I haven't seen every TikTok video about the student loans. I've only come across a few. And everyone has something credible to say. Even if it comes off whiny, even if it comes off like, even if it comes off in all these places, as a responder to content, as a reviewer in my everyday life, I know that we can take this and we can do something good with it. So let's consider these two questions as it relates to this video on the screen. So if no one ever showed you how to manage money or warned you about debt, does this mean you're not accountable now, or does it mean your starting point looks different? The second one is, what would it look like to take responsibility in a way that reflects growth instead of shame? So even though we've had a storyline, and this storyline is, hey, they were predators, there's probably something about us, probably something about our character that can say, okay, but I'm still going to walk this lane in order to make sure that I pay things back, because I did take it. I did use it. Even if I didn't get a return on my investment, maybe there's something creative I need to do in order to move from being in the poor mindset. Okay, now I'm about to play another video.
I'd like the federal government and the Trump administration to know personally that my student loans will never be paid now. I'm not going to pay them. If this is what the federal government is doing, I'm not going to pay them. Okay? You can give me every single punishment. You can ruin my credit score. You're going to try to make me a slave in about 2 weeks. So I'm not paying it. I'm not.
One of the keywords I want to highlight in this video is I'm going to be a slave, the punishment. Those are very, very strong and powerful words. And I've noticed that in my journey and this discovery of how do I make sure I'm mindful of the words that I say, I've noticed that when we are authors of words that lean towards what we actually want, we start to get a pathway. And I can only speak for myself, I guess. But I start to get a pathway that gets me closer to what I need to do. When I decided, hey, I'm not going to respond to these student loans and make this the end of me, I'm just going to get it done. I'm going to do something different to get it done. I have been making sure that we all stay alive, that everyone is eating food, that we remain happy, that we love one another. I want to work on freedom that comes with these resources and tools. And now that we do have all these AI tools to make things a little bit easier for me to learn a little bit more, let's try it. Let's try it. So on this pathway of discovery of, hey, there's always a different storyline. There's always someone who has done what you want to do. I'm starting to tap in to those stories where things have gotten done. I've seen people get rid of their debt with salaries that are smaller than mine, with children sizes and family sizes bigger than mine. But they got rid of their debt. On teacher salaries, they've They no longer have debt. They no longer have debt. They accomplished it. So now I can get into the framework of accomplishing it. So let's take away two questions here. Two questions here I want us to consider in response to this content. One is, what deeper feelings or experiences are fueling the refusal to pay? And how can acknowledging those emotions lead to a more empowered path forward? I believe that this can sometimes feel like advocacy. Like, I'm not just going to pay because you're going to make me a slave. And sometimes when it comes to people making you a slave, you at least want to fight back. So some perspectives here are, hey, I'm not going to give myself to this because it's wrong. And so I'm going to stand up and do something that might get me punished. So I can see that mindset. But here's another question to consider. How might reframing the idea of repayment from a punishment to a step toward freedom change your approach to handling student debt? That's what I did. If we're talking about how do I make this seem like I'm going to have another path, I'm going to have a better path, this is going to free me up. I'm not going to have to worry about this anymore. Like, all I can do is love now. Oh, no one, nothing but love. What if I am the lender? What type of lender would I be? Would I have practices that people can follow, that shows that I have good character, that I want to see that grow in the land? If more of the people who thought this was predatory became people who are lenders and have better mindset about how to have those approaches, wouldn't that make the world a little bit better? Because we believe that this is wrong. We believe they're not setting us up for success. But who needs to be in those positions? People who think that way. People who would have better practices. Do you believe that you would have better practices? One way that we can have better practices and better character is how we repay the loan, how we approach the loan. If we had our own business, we would be responsible for debt. In some cases, people would just throw it away, but that shows that the foundation that they built it was not on something that was strong. So what type of principles do you use? I use the Bible for the wisdom. And when I reiterate these concepts at the end, you'll see that even at the end of the day, and I'll probably say this like 74 times in the video, but even at the end of the day, there is a character in place. There is wisdom that we can follow that will allow us to not have any weapons formed against us. So, in the previous video, the young lady had a mother who guided her. That is a part of healthy families, healthy decision making, healthy communities, healthy conversations. That's something that you learn, and it has nothing to do with people outside of ourselves. It actually allows us to make sure that we don't end up in these dark pits because we do have that type of character, or we do come from that type of home. Doesn't mean that every home that was built on good character knew how to navigate colleges and loans. They probably sent their child off to college just happy that they did it because they never had that in their family. So they didn't think the type of degree would matter. In some cases, people got a degree that should have made them money, but now they're in a world where people are laying them off. And so they didn't have that as a part of the plan. Oh, somebody's going to lay you off, so your degree might not make it. You're going to have to keep looking for someone to want you in your degree, even if it is credible. So it's a tough earth to be living on. Or it's not as tough as we're making it out to be. It might be easier if we just gathered or stuck to principles and the wisdom that allow us to have peace on earth. It might be easier than we're making it, is what I'm trying to say. All right, so let's go into options. So we're growing. Part of growing is understanding that there is more than one option. When I called the student loan people, they gave me more than one option. One was, you can pay all of it right now and we'll stop garnishment. And I said, ooh, how do I get in that position right now? I don't think that if I had it, I would do that. But I get it. Another option is setting up repayment plans. They told me what type of repayment plans and what I had to send in. And I leaned in closer and said, okay. There are options. So this next video I want to show you all is, let's just watch it.
I can't believe it's happening. And the most beautiful part about it is my career-themed hair claws are supported by other working women. Come with me to pay off $34,182 worth of my student loan debt from art school thanks to you. I started off with $130,000. I knocked it down all the way to $58,000 over the course of the past like 4 or 5 years. My name's Colette. I'm oversharing about my student loans because I'm a full-time artist and I actually do have a career. It did work out for me. Art school is paying itself off and I'm taking you on the journey because I am so close. I graduated in 2021. I have been busting my booty to pay it off. You might know me for my career-themed hair claw collection, my career claws. Long story short, I'm running a promo right now where if you buy 2, you get 1 free. It's working really well. I have $45,515 left, and today we are paying off $34,182. So let's do it. Here's the payoff amount. Bye-bye. Payment amount, $34,182. It's a lot of money to part with, but look, gotta do it, gotta do it. I can't believe it's happening. Never cried on my platform after years of filming videos. But this is such a happy moment for me. This level of debt has financially traumatized me so badly. $11,000. That's nothing. That's I have what, 10% left? What the fuck is my life? Thank you for supporting my designs and allowing me to live a normal life. Like, it's entirely my fault, you know? That's why it hurts so bad, is that I've struggled so hard to build something big enough to squash this, and I thought I'd be doing this for like 30 years. Paying this off before I'm 26. When I used to worry about how am I gonna pay for healthcare on my 26th birthday. It's such a big deal. I'm sorry if I'm an ugly crier, okay? I have Botox in my forehead. Gotta treat yourself sometimes. And the most beautiful part about it is my career-themed hair claws are supported by other working women. Other working women got me here. Thank you. My baby.
Didn't y'all love this video? Didn't y'all love this video? My favorite part is that she got an art degree. She got an art degree. She got an art degree. I love art. I love creative people. Okay, friends. This is when we go inward and beyond. Yes, it sucks. Paying that much money sucks, especially when we know that there are other systems, other countries that do not make people pay at this age and know all they need to know about life at that age. But when we think about the options that we have when we are growing, when we think about the options that we have, we get this from inspiration of other people. Even if the inspiration is from content that may rub us the wrong way, what do you want to take from it? Where do you want to go? Because why does it rub you the wrong way? The original content didn't completely rub me the wrong way, but it made me think about, hey, there are thoughts that were brought out in this video that could be examined and investigated a little bit more. Because people did get these degrees that were so-called not the best degree, but aren't we wanting to live a life that we like? Aren't we wanting to do the things on this earth that doesn't mean that we have to survive in order to live, that we actually could live, experience, love life through the work that we do? And this is one important thing I have taken into consideration. When I am working for anyone, or if I have a client, I want to make sure there's a good relationship with any clients that I have. But when I'm working with someone, or I'm working for someone, I want to make sure that my values match their values. I don't know if people care about values at work, but I do. And once I wrote down like what it is that I wanted, how much I wanted to make, what I wanted to do, I just wrote it down, y'all. And that happened for me. Now that I saw that happen for me, I know that things like this can also happen for me. Now, I am in this space now on YouTube because, one, my exposure therapy experiment, the rejection therapy of my thoughts and all the things, but also, what if I can just be a talker and think about all perspective and gamify concepts on earth and make money from it without being a predator to other people, but just being cute. Maybe I can be someone online that can just talk and have a good time, gamify life and the thoughts and themes, have great conversation with people, and make money from it. That can sustain me, not just get me something to eat, but to sustain me, because people are doing it. This is what I love about the internet. Is that we can see examples of it happening. And so that is the ticket. It can happen. We see examples of people drowning in their debt, becoming homeless, all of these things. But we look on the other curtain, it's like, oh, look, there are people having a good time here. There are people who are actually making sound decisions and being wise and turning something that was frowned and turning it upside down. You know, they're doing things in their lives that's making something new. And that's why I love this content. This is what she said. She said, that she was financially traumatized and that it was entirely all of her fault. So not only did she have to take accountability, as we mentioned in the first two videos, accountability is a key word, but she took accountability in a way that still met her needs. She did it in a way that she felt rewarded because she was still able to do art. And she didn't even know what it was going to do. She didn't know how fast she was going to be able to reach her goal. But because she just thought in the right direction, it looks like things open up for her. All right, so some questions for us to consider. What beliefs about success and self-worth have shaped your approach to debt, and how might redefining those beliefs influence your next steps? How can the support and success of others in similar situations inspire a shift in how you view both your challenges and opportunities? Now, there's another video that I want us to just take a look at very quickly. I'm just going to put it on the screen. But it makes me think about how there are other options, right? One option that we see in this video is someone still claiming the things that they want to do and going in that direction. This is another way that people are responding to the content in general. And this is another way that we can see option, which to become advocacy and fighting back. Let's take a look at this video.
One thing for certain, two things for sure. Donald Trump is an agent of chaos. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to create a little chaos ourselves. And you know I love a template. And you know I got something for y'all, so we'll get to that in a minute. Let's get to the facts, shall we? Yes, he signed an executive order. No, it will not be enacted just like that. He cannot transfer our loans and our data over to the SBA without Congress passing a law. He cannot transfer data about students with disabilities over to HHS without Congress passing a law. It cannot just sell off all of our loans without Congress passing a law. He cannot just shut down the Department of Education without Congress getting involved. The government is deviant and dastardly. They're not designed to help us, so we don't have to help ourselves, because you know what they will do? Find your loans to be in default. Try to garnish your wages. Try to levy your property and your bank accounts. So here's what we're going to do. This is our FERPA Fight Back plan. I created 5 documents in a bundle, and you need to get them all. First up is a checklist for borrowers, and you need to follow it to a T. Do everything on the checklist that I'm telling you to do. You haven't already? You need your FERPA violation template. Fill it out and get it. Next up, you need to write your state's attorney general. I don't care if they're red, blue, purple, or green. I don't care what their political affiliation is. Get that template, fill it out, and send it to your state attorney general. You also need to write to the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau. No, they didn't get rid of it. Yes, they're trying to dismantle it. It still exists. Write to those people today. Finally, write to your U.S. senators and congressmen. I've got a template for that too. The FERPA Fight Back plan. 5 documents that you need to create a little chaos of your own. It includes your FERPA template, your state's attorney template, your borrower checklist, your consumer finance template, and finally, a template for you to write to your United States congressmen and your U.S. senators. Don't delay. Go get it today.
Okay, options. I don't really know too much about FERPA and all of the templates that she's sharing. I didn't do as much details, but I'm wondering what you all are considering. So this is another option, but it's a thin line between options and then the W of growth is, what are you looking for? So when we think about people's ultimate goals, when it comes to eliminating student debt or responding to student debt, what are we working for? So in the initial video that inspired me with Orlando, he mentioned that your credit could get messed up and you won't be able to buy a car and a home. And then some people responded, well, I don't care that my credit gets messed up because I won't even be able to afford that car or that home. And then we talk about the American dream and what that means. When you think about what you're living for and why you're alive, what are the principles that align with your growth? So is it to get a house? Are we living to struggle and to have all those student loans and work 30, 40 years as a slave in order to get a house or a car? Is that the payoff? Or is it the freedom that comes with that? Is it that the house and the car gives you freedom? So what we could be looking for when it comes to our response to student loans is maybe just a society that is decent and in order, that doesn't have predatory nature. Maybe it is a home and a car. Maybe it's peace of mind. Perhaps it's just ownership. Being able to live this life and not have to work a job just because it pays you money, but actually be fulfilled. My question to you all is, what are you looking for? When you respond to people's content, when you respond to your own lives, when you respond to a garnishment, when you respond to student loans and in different perspectives, what are you looking for? Especially if you're someone who's coming online and you're sharing about what people are doing wrong, what are you looking for? Are you looking to guide people, to better support people, or is it just to bash them? For people who are whining and crying, what are you looking for? Do you want to see something new? Do you want to see something different? Do you want to stay in this space? Are you going to be an advocate? Are you going to go into these spaces? Are you going to write these letters? Are you going to do all the things that require change? I know that it takes work, but what are the other options? If we decide that we're going to cry and become a victim and stay there, do we believe that someone's going to save us? Or is it up to us to be the people? We are the people. Let's be the people. If all of the people are saying this is unjust, this is cruel, I'm not doing it, that means the majority of us feel something is off. Even the people who paid it off, they are a part of the arm of this body that can say, hey, here are some principles that you can consider in order to pay it off, but this is how we correct it now that we are debt free. This is how we become part of a system and make better choices for all of us because we are the people. But the question about growth is, what exactly do you want out of your childlike mentality? What do you want to do? So when we think about a toddler and they're like, give me this or give me that, we have to now parent ourselves to realize just because somebody wants this doesn't mean that they get it. Just because we want someone to come out in the sky and just get us zero debt, will it happen? No. Will it be helpful for us? There's something empowering about the time that I sat there and I said, hey, it's okay. It's money. There's two different ways I can look at this. One way I can say is, oh my goodness, they are scammers and I cannot survive in America. It's going to be even harder for me. I don't want to use that language anymore. But when I start to look at stories and I say, oh, there's other options here, I'm going to start that path to see where it gets me. Now, part of me starting my path, what do I want out of this? I definitely want to be debt free so I can love all the people that I owe no one else but love, is what I meant to say. I want to be in a position to owe no one else nothing but love. I want to be in a position to be the lender, and I want to be in a position to be a giver. Okay? But part of this is building a framework. Part of building a framework is counting the costs and understanding everything that I need to understand about my debts. And even though this might have been an administrative error, I'm not sure yet, even though it could have been an error, doesn't mean that I don't need to pay it or that I can't start paying it. I can start paying it. I'm in a position now that I can start paying it. So pay it and get it out of your life. Just get it out. For me, it's not about a credit score. Because if the credit score is only about a house and a car, that's not life. To me, it's not even having to use credit at all. I don't want another lender at all. I want to be the lender. I don't want another lender. So it's not about clearing my credit or anything going wrong in that case. It's really about clearing this debt and seeing how empowering that can be. That even against all of the things and all the weapons that were formed, that I actually was able to make very simple decisions based off of wisdom and the Bible, and it worked. Those are the practices that I just want to see. What if I started to just write down everything and make a system that allowed me to get this out of the way and found what I was good at in order to make more money. Now, here's the thing. I'm sitting on stuff, right? I've started these shirts called Free People, Free People. It's related to when people say hurt people, right? I'm like, these are things I want to just put out. You know, people have these lines in the world. I want to be someone who says something different. So free people, free people. I also had my website when I had peace over chaos. Like, these are equations and all these different ideas that I put into shirts, into journals, into books. I've created those already. I use my skill of marketing and need to advertise, right? So these are skills that I was given, that I've been good at, that I can use in order to make money. Because you know what? I see people online making money. Some people feel like it's not happening. In other cases, they really are making money. I wrote a children's book. And my children's book was based off of my vision of what I wanted to be for my children. I didn't have all the answers. But once I grew up and I learned, oh, there's things I need to learn about investing. I don't know those things. I started to create a book. And now it's going to be series of books based off of the things that I did not know that I want my children to know. And I want to make a record of it. I can make money from these things. I wrote my book about my belief systems. These are my personal stories. So I'm sharing all this to say that I'm moving myself out of the victim mentality that I had when I wrote my play about the scam of student loans. I'm now saying, hey, you got the tools, the ideas, that is the money. The paper doesn't do anything. It's the ideas that generate the income. What is my primary source of income? I know where I get my income from. I know what I need to do. I know where I fell short. And if you are accountable for those things, like we mentioned, the key word is accountability. If you are accountable for those things and you start to correct them, that's where you get that ownership. That's when you That's when you become a lender and not a borrower. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to the types of responders. This is a part of the growth aspect where we look at different perspectives. And I love this because in order for us to grow, because this is the thing, some people who have made the right decision, they were able to pay off their student loans, they didn't get a decision that was considered lame and so forth. The way that they might act childish is because they do not consider other perspectives. One thing that I would consider when I think about thinking less like a child and putting away childish things is being at least considerate of the different perspectives. Because even if you are right and absolutely right, the way that you approach everyone around you with whatever it is you want to push matters. It goes back to what the second creator said about your character. So these are also things about someone's character. It's interesting that we can speak about people's character in this video, and then a part of our character was to shame them or to call them names. But we say that their character is built on the fact that they didn't understand that they needed to be accountable for their debt. When we are growing and we're maturing, we're looking at that about ourselves. So when I talk about growth and we're looking at the mirror, like look in the mirror. Look at how you are reacting to this content, how you decided to use your freedom, not to free people, but to shame them. That's a part of your character, right? And I hate that I have to use someone's video to do this, but it's just interesting. And this is how it's working on YouTube right now, when you respond to people's content. But when I'm responding to Orlando's videos or any of the other videos, it's not about the personal relationship with them because I don't know any of them. Most of this is what I want to drill in with anybody who's an in friend here at the Dear Creator experience, is that we're just using this as a framework. We're using it as an assignment to go back into ourselves. Like, what are we learning about ourselves? I learned about myself through all of these pieces of content. There's something that I'm thinking, even if I'm thinking about something, and I could be judgmental about how they're responding, right? We can always kind of play that role. But what I'm learning is I'm passionate. I'm passionate about something and I can use that passion and generate income. Maybe here on YouTube, maybe it is doing workshops, but just start practicing, learning yourself, listening to other people, and looking at the different types of responders. So let's look at the types of responders on the screen now. I'm going to go through a few different types of responders as it relates to student debt and how people respond to the conversation. The first is the resign. They'll say something like, I'll never be able to pay this off. I'll just ignore the letters. Some people are frozen, the debt feels endless, the balance grows no matter what they do, so they stop opening the emails and just try to get through the week. Could this be laziness or exhaustion? The question here isn't why they're not paying. It might be what would help them feel powerful again. What would it look like to feel like your actions actually matter? The next is the committed. I signed, I owe, I'm paying it off, even if it takes me 20 years. Some people make a decision and they're sticking to it. They believe in showing up, even if it's hard. There's honor in that. This response can feel lonely when the system feels wrong, but for them, it's about character. The question is, can we still walk in integrity while questioning the system that made the debt necessary? The next is the disillusion. I was told college would be the way out. I worked hard. Now I'm broke and bitter. This person isn't making decisions recklessly in cases. They believe what they were told. Now they're left with debt and no reward. That bitterness often hides grief over effort that didn't lead to stability. What happens when we finally admit the system failed us without turning against ourselves? Then we have the defiant. The system was predatory. I don't owe them anything. This isn't just rebellion, it's protest. For some, it's a way to reclaim agency, but protest can become another kind of bondage if it's trapped in rage. It's valid to call out what's broken, but the bigger question is, do you want freedom or revenge? What will rebellion look like if it made space for healing? Then there's the under-guided. I didn't know what I was signing. I didn't have anyone to explain it to me. This is about access. Some people didn't have parents or mentors to walk them through what debt really means. We can't change what we weren't taught, but we can choose what we teach and model now. What would it look like to become the God you didn't have? Then there's someone who is legacy minded. I want to build something stable for me and my children. This person isn't just thinking about the loan, they're thinking about credit, home ownership, generational impact. They're playing the long game. There's wisdom in seeing past the loan. The question is, are your current actions moving you towards the life you want to leave behind? And then there's the resourceful. I'm paying on my terms, building income, and using creativity to stay in control. They aren't pretending the system isn't fair, but they found a way to beat it with strategy, not silence. They may sell products, teach, pivot careers, whatever keeps momentum going. This is what it looks like to turn pressure into power. What could change if you saw your creativity as your way through? Let me know in the comments. Are there any other types of responders, any other perspectives that you think that we can consider? Let's look at this last video. This last video is going to take us through a game that I'm using, and it's called Yay or Nay. Yay or nay is about whether or not you would say yay to this scripture or this concept or this thought, or nay. I'm changing their thought to our thought to like, is it a yay or a nay? Because I like using yay or nay. I just love it. Okay. But I'm going to play this game. I'm going to present some wisdom that's found in the Bible about our character that can be applied to how we respond to student loan debt. And as I go through those, I want you to decide whether or not you agree with it, or you think that it can be applicable, or that you can use it. And if so, the practice is, let me try to use it. Let me not just hear the word or say that's yummy. Ooh, that's a yummy, yummy word, but do something with it. Or otherwise, it's like ew. Because what can we do if we are whining or we are judging, but we cannot apply principles that gets us to the goal that we all want to get to? But this last video is taking us into the last concept of growth. Once we get our gut reactions to whatever it is that we experience, and we start to record like the roots of why we respond to anything, And then we go into like the different options, the things to consider. And then we ask us a question, a what question. Any type of journaling question that we can apply to kind of go through that mirror. And then we look at how other people might respond to that same concept after we journal. The last thing is, what do we want from it? I have now planted a few different seeds in my garden. And it's starting to grow, y'all. It's starting to grow. And it's so funny because it said it takes 56 to 60 days to start growing. And I didn't think I was going to see things this early. But I see that it's growing. And it's so exciting. You know why it's so exciting, y'all? You want to know why it's so exciting? We think about money. And we are looking at this money in this piece of paper like, oh, it's limited. And AI is going to do this. And this is scary and all these things. But when we think about planting seeds, and how things can grow and how you can regrow them and how like it's just these little seeds that grow into something that you can eat and you can cut something and keep growing it. That is so fulfilling. It doesn't feel like, oh, I'll never make it and there's interest that just won't go away and I'm going to be drowning. It feels like all I got to do is plant seeds. And it doesn't cost that much to plant seeds. It takes the sunlight, it takes the water, it takes the nourishment and the care. Like if I start caring about my mindset, if I start caring about the goals and the dreams that I have, it will grow, y'all. It will grow. So let's look at this last video. I'm going to let you know how it applies to the harvest and then boom, bam, bam. We're going to get to our game.
Are we paying these student loan debts or are we letting God handle it? Because yes, I know I should not be asking a bunch of random strangers for financial advice, but I don't care to be responsible right now. We all in this together. If you don't have student loans, scroll away. This is for people that have student loans and don't know what to do with it. Are we paying these loans off or are we letting God handle it? Because I refuse. Bro, I'm looking at these loans and I'm like, was my education really worth this much? Was my education really worth this much, bro? I feel bamboozled. I feel robbed. Trapped, bro, because it's like, bro. Nah, I'm letting God. I'm waiting for your answer first, but honestly, the way it's looking, I think God got it. God got us. God got us, man, because, no. God got us. Trust me, God got us.
Yo, does God have you? Does God have you when it comes to these student loans? And it's so, I love this, y'all. You want to know why? Because when we talk about belief systems, I'm really heavy on talking about belief systems about anything here, but it does lean to our faith systems. There's an argument that sometimes we lean on God and want God to do all these things and it doesn't happen. And some people move themselves from certain belief systems because they believe that God is going to handle it. And I have a theory that it is a relationship, that in a relationship is not one-sided. So yes, God is going to handle this, but what is required of us, right? And so I love this video because it gave me an opportunity to play this yay or nay game where we're going to look at some principles in the Bible that could be applied here. If we say that we really want to live a free life, if we don't want to have these predators, it requires us to do something other than complaining. Complaining and arguing and yelling and all those things, they have a place. But what also has a place is us putting together some strategies based off of like what we learn about ourselves and who we want to be and implement to them and trying our best to, because it may not be easy as we navigate this earth and run into all the different parts and different things that you can run into, because who knew that this was going to happen, because it hasn't happened for years, but it happened. And so now it's giving ourselves this freedom to live. It's not about staying in this place, but giving ourselves a freedom to live. Before I go into the game, y'all, because I got so much to share. This was so inspirational. This last story I want to share is from a TikToker. Now, I'm going to share the article. I want you all to look at the article and dig into it. But I'm going to play a few seconds of this video because it tells you a lot that I want to share. So let's look at this really quickly.
I just remember like wondering how I was going to make it through the next month. Like I had a degree, no job, student loan debt hanging over my head, credit card debt hanging over my head. And January 1st came and I was like, I will never be in this position again. And that's when I started researching ways to budget, and I found cash budgeting. I started budgeting at the beginning of the year and started throwing it on social media to keep myself accountable. I started the business after my TikToks went viral. I was like, okay, well, people are actually interested in this because finances come off really boring to me. And for some reason, people were engaging.
Our internet will be receiving 20.
My name is Jasmine Taylor. I'm 31 from Amarillo, Texas, and my business brought in over $800,000 last year.
Yo, come on now. Come on now. If y'all can just guess why I wanted to share that at the end. Come on now. First of all, we're talking about budgeting. So this is a principle that she had to adopt, that she decided to adopt. She made it fun. Every time I have a conversation with my friend and I'm like, life, okay? They always bring up this concept of make it fun. And then I'm like, yeah, because I like laughing. I like having fun, right? And when I do that, it does release this burden. But she made something that seems like it's very boring to learn, but it's also something that we need in order to really level up and have this freedom that we want. She was able to make income from it. And in the beginning of her statement, she said, I was in student loan debt. She was drowning in this debt, but look at her and she was able to make this money. I share this because it's important for us to also see the other sides of the story. Yes, there's student loans happening. Yes, it's the interest rates are wild and crazy, kids, but it doesn't mean that we can't use our creativity and the power of our mind in the direction that we need it to go. Okay? All right, let's close out with this game, yay or nay. I'm going to put the scripture on the screen. Slide it right if you want to say yay. I can use that. I'm going to apply it, or nay. Okay.
So let's play a quick game. I call it yay or nay. I'll read a scripture, give you a little context, and ask a question. All you have to do is answer for yourself. Do you align with it right now or not yet? Let's see what fruit these ideas might grow in us. Proverbs 6:6-8. Go to the ant, you sluggard. Consider its ways and be wise. It has no commander, no overseer or ruler, yet it stores provisions in summer and gathers its food at harvest. The ant works without being forced. It prepares in advance and moves with wisdom. Do you believe in preparing for what's coming, even when no one is watching or pushing you? Yay or nay? Luke 14:28. Suppose one of you wants to build a tower. Won't you first sit down and estimate the cost to see if you have enough money to complete it? This teaches us to plan ahead and be honest about what it takes to finish what we start. Should we take full responsibility for what we didn't count, or can we still ask for mercy when we miscalculated? Yay or nay? Deuteronomy 28:12. You will lend to many nations, but will borrow from none. This was a blessing tied to walking in obedience. It showed that freedom is connected to alignment. Do you still believe being the lender, not the borrower, is a position of strength, even in a world built on debt? Yay or nay? Ecclesiastes 7:12. Wisdom is a shelter as money is a shelter, but the advantage of knowledge is this: wisdom preserves those who have it. Money can help, but wisdom protects. Wisdom isn't about having more, it's about knowing what to do with what you have. Do you see wisdom as your first defense when life gets uncertain, or do you wait for rescue first? Yay or nay? Proverbs 24:3-4. By wisdom a house is built, and through understanding it is established. Through knowledge its rooms are filled with rare and beautiful treasures. This is a blueprint for building something lasting, not just in money, but in values and in peace. Are you building your financial life with wisdom or just reacting to pressure? Yay or nay? Every yay you choose shows where you're aligned, and every nay is just an opportunity to pause and ask, what needs to shift in me? Whether you're buried in loans or working your way out, these verses aren't just instructions. They're reminders that even in a broken system, wisdom still works. So what's the harvest of this game? Hopefully not guilt, hopefully clarity, and maybe a little more respect for the quiet, powerful work of living with intention. Are there any other perspectives, thoughts, scriptures that you can add to the yay or nay game that we all can consider? Did any shift for you?
Until next time, hold on to you as much as you can. Hold on to your health, your well-being, and your mind. Be mindful. Bye.
Breathe.